Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining us today on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Oh my goodness, it's September 1st. Where did the summer go? I don't know, but hopefully you've had a great one. Let's move into fall. Let's enjoy fall. Well, we certainly have another adventure for you today. Well, thank you for coming to Speak Up and Empower by Real Talk Travel. And I just want to let you know Speak Up and Empower is an online membership of many individuals made up of many backgrounds, but they're experts in the field and they all have something to share. And I'm with Real Talk Travel. And we're so excited today to have a special guest with us today. Now, where is our adventure? It's waiting for us. Well, we're going to welcome Orla Kalina. Oh, sorry, Colleen?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's with Royal Irish Tours, and we're going to look at the beautiful island of Ireland today. So welcome, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. And I mean, the title of your brilliant event that you have here, it just is exactly what it is. It's empowering.
So she is actually going to help us walk through Ireland. It's one of my favorite places, and keep in mind that we work with tour operators, so we can book all your tours, even though it's with the tour operator, because we can get from start to finish, so you can have a perfect vacation and discover many wonderful places like this beautiful place of Ireland. So go ahead and just tell me next when you want to move on.
Perfect. No, exactly. That's exactly right. So as Susan said, it's so important to have a travel agent. I mean, especially what we do, and I will get into more detail once we kind of dive into it, but we cater to every sort of client in that if you want to go on a coach, if you want to drive, if you want to go by rail, it doesn't matter what way you want to see Ireland or the UK. It's very, very easy to do so, but it's very easy for us and for me and Susan to put it together, because we're in the industry, we've done this for years. I'm from Ireland, so it's very easy for us to kind of spend the time and put it together. So this is just a general overview. I want to kind of give you lots of ideas of where to travel in Ireland. So I've split it up into the different provinces. So there's 4 provinces, and then at the end, this is perfect. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about our specific tour styles. So firstly, a little bit about who we are and what we offer. So as Susan said, my name is Orla Colleen. So I'm based here. We're in Toronto, just north of Toronto in Richmond Hill. That's where our office is. But Ian Duffy is our owner. So he's the gentleman on the left. He originally started Royal Irish about 30 years ago. He moved to Canada, fell in love with a Canadian lady, and then has been here ever since. So 30 years in Canada, but 20 years next year is Royal Irish. So we're very excited to be celebrating our 20th year.
Yeah, congratulations then.
Yeah, and it's a big year, because obviously this year has been a pause completely. So what better way to be facing into 21 than, everybody up and ready to go and getting the excitement in. So Ian still does work full time, and his son Connor is our managing director. Then we have a Dublin office. Their other brother Ronan works there, and then their sister works in reservations in Canada. So it's very much a family-run business, which is fantastic. It's great. And then the rest of us are either Irish or Scottish, or we really have the roots from there. So like I said, no question would be a silly question. So feel free to put them in. I think you can probably chat in here or ask Susan. And that's the good thing about working with us, that Susan can work with us and get all of those insider information for you and the best deals as well. So a little bit first then on why Ireland. Why do people travel to Ireland in the UK? So the first reason definitely for Ireland is the people. So the people have what's called the Céad Míle Fáilte, which it means 100,000 welcomes. And Susan said it herself. She's been there twice, and she's only done, I say, Ireland is pretty small, but she hasn't yet hit the north. And that's the thing. You meet so many people along the way. There's so many things to see that you cannot possibly see it all in a week. So definitely you need to go back more than once, or else go for at least 2 weeks to see kind of the majority of Ireland. So this is just Killarney National Park. It's down south. But as I said, the people are so friendly. You could be stuck with your car, let's say, trying to fix your tire if you have puncture or something, and guaranteed a local farmer will come out and help you along the way. And that's just the way we are, and maybe meet you in the pub later for a pint.
That I can agree with. We love going to the pubs.
Exactly. And like I can remember when I was younger, we would just randomly pull up to this car who had a big map out, and my father just knew. He said, "Are you lost?" And that's what we do. And it's just being friendly, pointing people in the right direction, and giving the best advice that we can on places to see, and all of that as well. So you can go to the next one. Thank you. So the next thing is definitely the landscape. So as you can see, these are the two most iconic sites in Ireland. One is on the west coast along the Wild Atlantic Way, and that's the Cliffs of Moher. So that's very, very close to where I'm from. I actually worked there for a number of years. And then the Giant's Causeway. So this is along the coastal route up in Northern Ireland. So two different sides, two different stories that go with them, and just look at the spectacular views. And
beautiful.
Yeah, and not only that, it's for such a small island, it has the rugged 2,500 kilometer driving route along the west. It's got the sunny southeast, as they call it, and then up in the north of Ireland as well, it's got like luscious green grass, and it's very, very different all over the island. But as I said, you're not just going to be on a motorway. You're going to be going in and out these kind of nooks and crannies, finding different locations. This is Skellig Michael, so it's off the coast of County Kerry. If there is any Star Wars fans, this is where The Last Jedi was filmed. So it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it is protected. There is a number of birds that actually nest here every year. So there is a boat that you can take a gorgeous trip around the island, and even go on the island too, but there's a number of steps you have to climb, and it's a little uneven. So as long as you have a good pair of walking boots, then I would highly recommend this. This is once in a lifetime getting to go down here, because there's a certain number per day and per year that are actually allowed on it. And then Newgrange in County Meath. This is actually older than the pyramids itself. This is spectacular. 2 times in the year for the solstice, you can see the light shine through the portal tomb. But obviously, a lot of people want to see this, so it's a draw and it's a raffle every year. But you can go and take a tour around it, and you wonder, how did they, like with the pyramids, how did they manage to put this together when they don't have machinery, they didn't have cranes? It really is spectacular. And again, this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So the standard of food in Ireland really has improved. And I'd say, Susan, you got fabulous food, I'd say.
Oh, we were stunned by the variety and the taste. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people think that we might just have maybe fish and chips, which we do, or just bacon and cabbage. But really, because it's an island, everything is so fresh.
Mm-hmm.
They've got, fabulous mussels and oysters, but all of the animals are grass-fed, so all of the meat is very, very tender, and also produces lovely cheeses and ice creams as well. And a good pint of Guinness up in Dublin or anywhere on the island. You can pull your own in Dublin, of course. It's something that's very different than when you get it anywhere else in the world. So the
Absolutely. Really don't like Guinness unless I was in Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody says, and they're dead right. So in and along with that, the sustainable farming. So everything is sourced within a 20-kilometer or 20-mile radius, I should say, of where you're actually eating. So a lot of the properties, like the 4.5 and 5-star manors and castles, they will have everything on the grounds, and then when you're reading the menu, it'll tell you, oh, I got the lamb from like Achill Island in Mayo, or you got your goat's cheese from here. And they really do. Everything is sourced so locally, and everything is so fresh. But also, if you were going on, a trip yourself, maybe a driving holiday or even a chauffeur-driven package, you can fit one of these in. So you could go to a cheese farm and actually taste the cheese from there, see how it's made, go to these oyster farms. There are different options along the way. Great experiences that you can kind of slot in, and that we can book for you through Susan as well. So those are kind of the inside special things that we can do to make a package especially for you. So again, cider and whiskey as well as Guinness. There are so many distilleries, and a lot of people know Ireland and Scotland for the whiskey and the Scotch. But cider distilleries, I was amazed at this map when I had found it, but they're mostly along the east, which is because, obviously with all of the fresh apples that you need, it's the sunny southeast. So it's mostly on the east side of the world of Ireland. But there are lovely whiskey distilleries as well, and I have a couple of kind of the more well-known ones that you would know at the top there in the picture. So again, these can be slotted in. We always include at least one on each of our coach tour trips anyway. So you would have the chance to go in and see how all the whiskey is made. We brought through the distillery, same in Scotland, but also some of the cider as well. So we do include it on one of our tours, but you can add it on to any sort of a tour that you'd like to take.
Well worth doing, because I did several of them. It was really,
Did you?
they treat you right, I'll tell you that.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, the history and the culture is huge. I mean, you're not going to Ireland for the sun. You're not. I know I say sunny southeast, but you're not going for a sun holiday. The history and culture there is absolutely phenomenal. There's over 5 million people in Canada who claim Irish ancestry, and there's multiple places in Ireland where you can actually trace your roots, which I think is huge. And it's brilliant now, the amount of resources out there. So just one of them is the Titanic Centre in Belfast. But we also have, access to the Epic Museum in Dublin, and then the Titanic Centre in Cove. So they would be, your north, east, and south main ports where people emigrated from. And it's fantastic the fact that you can go there, set up a meeting with the genealogist and trace your roots, or just go in and go through a self-guided tour. They're fantastic, the museums that they have there. They've one in the Titanic and the Epic, and again in Cove, and they're really, really spectacular. And the people are very knowledgeable. And then as well, all of the castles. I mean, I don't even know how many castles are in Ireland and the UK, but definitely a very, very, very large amount. A lot of them are still ruined, but a lot of them, like this Clare Castle, which we include a tour on our coach tour. This one is actually restored and one of the best restored properties in Ireland. A lot of them, again, are 4.5 and 5-star hotels. So they're restored back to their, former glory. And then there are even some like Bunratty, which is a folk park. So it's great if there was, a group, even if there was kids, it's really kind of an enjoyable for all ages. There's a lady in her old dress and she's making bread over the fire. And it's very, very nice. I was there last Christmas and I love going there every year. It's just, go get a tour and then just stroll around the grounds. It's something else.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. I have been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Good. And of course, it's just so close. It's very, very close to get to Ireland and the UK. I mean, we see how close we are there. It's one quick flight across. Air Transit fly direct April to October, Air Canada all year round. WestJet have a number of departures as well, and then Aer Lingus as well. They fly all year round. So we mostly use Air Transit and Air Canada. But anything, you can choose. There's variety depending on the time of the year that you want to go to. And often they have very good prices as well. You'd be surprised. It's looking at maybe 600 or 700 if you do in advance, which isn't too bad, and it's about a 5.5 hour flight on the way over and a 6.5 on the way back.
Right. Yeah.
So as I said, ancestry is huge. I jumped the gun there on my my other slide, but I just put in the Titanic, Belfast, and the Cove Heritage Centre and the Epic. So 4.5, which is almost 5 million ancestors, or Canadians claim ancestor, and that's actually 15% of the population. So that's a huge amount.
That is.
When you think of it, I mean, we got these statistics from Tourism Ireland not too long ago. We work very closely with them. And you just don't really think about it sometimes, and you're like, wow, the amount of people that have ties there. And that's what it is. If you've been there once, or even if you haven't and you have ancestry, some people just have that, like there's a tug that's pulling you there, and you don't really know why, but it just is. And it's so exciting when you're talking to people about going there. And I mean, that's why we love what we do and why we're in it, for sure. So music and festivals are another huge part of our culture. Every single little pub, you're going to find a group somewhere having a little session. And just, you can go in with your instrument as well if you want, or you can just sit back and relax and no pressure and just take it all in. And the matchmaking festival there, that's one in a very small place called Lisdoonvarna. It draws people from all over the world. So he's a third generation matchmaker called Willie Daly. So he takes out his big book, and all the eligible bachelors, he tries to set them up. It goes through all the month of September. And this is just one little kind of snippet of a festival. And I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen for next year. Obviously, it's postponed for this year, but it's something that's been around for generations. And, these things have to continue on, and we just have to find a way around it to continue on these traditions.
And I love the music. It's very upbeat. It's very happy. And like you said, when we went to the pubs, they were playing, and then different ones kept coming in with their instruments, and they just all gathered around. And of course, when it was time for us to leave, they say, "Oh no, you can't leave. You got to stay." So it was very hospitable there. So
good
and lively.
Perfect. And then the towns and the cities are spectacular. They really are, as we say, a place that you can, you can walk the city, is what I'm trying to say, very, very easily. There is public transport in Dublin, and, I would recommend to hop on, hop off, or the local transport if you're only there for a day or two. But at the same time, when you book with us, we make sure that we recommend a hotel in the city centre. And that's also why it's important to book with a travel advisor and a travel pro. That way they know that they're booking the best hotels with us. We have an office in Dublin. They make sure all of the hotels are up to a certain standard, and we want you to be in the city centre. We want you to walk outside the door and that you're right there in the heart of it. So we can recommend these properties that we would think would be best to book. And then that's just a picture of Cobh, and a lot of people think it looks like different parts out east here in Canada, and it does. A lot of it's the very same, and a lot of the Wild Atlantic Way has small little towns like this that you just, are off the beaten track when it comes to all of these large that go kind of all of the time and every day, and you can really get into the countryside if you've got a car or take a chauffeur driver as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is just a couple of pictures to show you. As I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about the provinces and what there is to do. So this is Northern Ireland. So it is part of the UK. There isn't a hard border or anything like that. They do take pounds instead of euros like the rest of Ireland. But the Causeway Coastal Route is something that really needs to be visited. So if you head up north from Dublin into Belfast, and then you're going to continue up north again, right on the coast. These are some of the scenes that you'll see, like the Giant's Causeway. The picture on the left there is Carrick-a-Reid Rope Bridge. And it just is absolutely amazing up there. You really need to take a couple of days, even spend a night in a B&B. That way the locals can tell you, oh, go here to this beach where nobody knows about. And that's what it's all about, getting into these places that, okay, we'll take them the Giant's Causeway, because it's a really well-known place and an iconic scene, but there is so much else that you can see. There's a lot more to see.
Yes, absolutely.
So one thing I would highly recommend for Belfast, you can actually take a tour. It's called the Black Taxi Cab, and you can get it for, a couple of hours or a half day. And these are just some of the pictures. These ones I took myself in Belfast. So there is a big history in Northern Ireland between the Protestants and the Catholics, and we used to call it or it's still known as the Troubles in Northern Ireland. So these taxi cab drivers will tell you all the history about them growing up in the town. And that's very important. It's not just reading from a guidebook. These guides and the same with the guides kind of throughout any product that you get with us, they really are experts in what they do because they've grown up in it. It's authentic. It's not something that they have made up. And it really is interesting to check this out if you've got a couple of hours in Belfast.
Awesome.
So moving over then kind of a little bit more west, still in Northern Ireland is a little town called Derry. So we do take a guided tour of the walled city of Derry. So it's one of the last walls that still remain from a walled city in Ireland. But the guide that we have that comes, and again, you can get it on a driving holiday if you don't want to do a coach. He comes on, and he again grew up in Derry during the Troubles, and it frequently brings people to tears. And it's because it's so raw for him still. I mean, it's not that long ago when there was issues still in Northern Ireland. And it really is firsthand for him, and it comes across to clients, and it's very, very authentic. Any golfers here, then you certainly know Portrush. So this is the British Open. This is what was held last year up in Northern Ireland. So a lot of people want to take in a round of golf, which is fine. I would highly recommend that anywhere along the west and up towards the north here. So we are happy to pre-book this as well. Maybe you've got a group of golfers who wanted to go, then let's get you all going and take in the sites as you go along and kind of be predominantly golf, but taking some of the greater itineraries as well.
And especially golf has really been established in those United Kingdom area, Ireland, Scotland, so forth. So yeah, best to see those golf courses.
Exactly. I mean, this is where it was created. Well, it was created in Scotland, but we still have lovely, lovely golf courses in Ireland as well. And it's only an hour flight between Ireland and the UK, so it's very quick to get there. So we're moving now, you can see Northern Ireland there, we're moving more down the west coast. So that blue line there, which I mentioned with the Wild Atlantic Way, that little icon that you see, you'll see it at every little stop. There's over 400 of them if you wanted to kind of tick everything off on the list, which obviously everybody can't do. But no matter where you go, you've got this symbol and you know you're on the Wild Atlantic Way. So people even you can purchase a Wild Atlantic Way passport and you can kind of get your stamps and fill everything in as you go along. So I've seen that recently. A lot of people are doing that, but it really is spectacular, and you could have an itinerary for a month just following this.
Yeah, it's well worth doing. Yes, absolutely.
Well worth doing. Yeah, for sure. Because it's got all of these gorgeous little hidden gems that people, again, don't know about. People are going to take in the Giant's Causeway and take in the Cliffs of Moher, but little do they know that there's all of these spectacular beaches and all of these, mountains that you can go if you are interested in hiking, or even just going for a stroll on the beach and bring a picnic. It's just really nice to get some of that fresh air, that Atlantic sea air, and in 15 minutes you'll be back on the road and off again. So it's off the beaten track, but that's the good thing about Ireland. It's so small that it might be off the beaten track, but then you're going to be back on the road and it's not going to delay you too much if you have a schedule to follow.
That's right. Yes.
So this is my home. I have to put it in. It's the Burren National Park. So we do have 6 national parks in Ireland, and this is one here on the west. So it's very kind of stony and rugged and very, very mountainous. But you'll find spectacular little things to do, lots and lots of attractions. I think I've another one on the next slide. So this, for example, a lot of people wouldn't have ever heard of Islay Cave and Burren Bird of Prey Centre. So there's lots of cave systems in Ireland as well. Really spectacular underground tunnels that bears hibernated in for a certain time, and there's bones that you can see in this one, but also falconry. So a lot of people like to do that, and they think they can only do it at maybe a 4.5 or a 5-star property, but you can do this in many places in Ireland, and this is just one on the west for you. They have regular demonstrations, and it's great for kids, great for adults. And again, like this, Beara Peninsula. So everybody knows the Ring of Kerry, and it is spectacular. But there's also just around the corner the Beara Peninsula, which is kind of less noticed and a little bit off the beaten track. As I said, roads are a little narrower, so it would be good for a smaller vehicle or a chauffeur drive as well. But it just shows you there are so many other things to see. And we're more than happy to kind of give advice and create specific itineraries when you work with Susan and put together your kind of main hotspots. Then we can fill it in for you.
Right.
So moving on to the east of Ireland now, which has been kind of overlooked a little bit. Everybody knows the Wild Atlantic Way from the Tourism Ireland have been doing a big marketing project, but they've started to do one now in Ireland's ancient east. And it really is. So there's lots of lovely medieval towns. Waterford is there, which is really nice. And then, of course, lots of gardens, Powerscourt Estate here. And you can see how large the east is and how much is actually filled in. So there's loads and loads of attractions to see. So you can still take in lovely beaches and the lovely seaside towns. But some of the other kind of spectacular things would be the cider distilleries that we mentioned. And also the name's gone, what's it called? It's a stud farm, anyways, in Kildare. I can't for the life of me.
Oh, yes, I was there. It's got a great little Chinese garden. It's got a red little bridge. Yes.
Yes, and it is lovely. I'm a horse fanatic too, so I love going to places.
It was gorgeous. I should have looked it up. Yes, I forget the name too.
Anyways, it's gone from me, but it'll come back someday. But as you can see, there's lovely and gorgeous churches and ruins, and it just really is Ireland's ancient east. I mean, the history is really there in the east portion. I think the next slide then is Kilkenny Castle.
Right.
Which we do take a tour on, and I would highly recommend. I think Kilkenny is one of my favorite towns in Ireland. It's a medieval town. As I said, you can take a tour of Kilkenny Castle, and it really is spectacular when you go inside, even see the grounds and all of the history in the architecture as well. So you're not going to see new buildings in any of these towns. And take a guided tour and roll around Kilkenny. It's really gorgeous.
Right. Yeah.
I have some fascinating Ireland facts for you all.
Okay. What are the facts then?
I think I need the next slide.
Okay. Oh, sorry. There you go.
So a lot of people don't know that we actually speak Irish in Ireland. English is our first language, of course, but everybody speaks Ireland up until the age of the equivalent of the end of high school. So that would be 17, 18. If you want to become a teacher, you have to take Irish throughout university. But this just shows you the number of areas that we call the Gaeltacht regions that still speak Irish. So they will speak English to you, of course, but it is something to listen and you hear them talking, and it's like it's something out of this world. I know it's another language, but it's like something you've never heard before. It's quite like Gaelic in Scotland, but again, there's variations, and even between the north, the west, and the south. When we were in school growing up, we had to learn the differences, and it was very difficult because there's a lisp and there's a slang, and there's an accent, but it is still very, very widely used in Ireland. So those are just the areas for you. So a little fun fact.
Cool. Oh, sorry. That I guess I should have pushed that on. Yeah.
That's perfect. If you want to go back for 2 seconds, Susan, I have 2 new words for everybody. The 2 words are fáilte and sláinte. So fáilte is welcome, and then sláinte is cheers. Those are the 2 words you need.
So fáilte and
sláinte.
Sláinte. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
they're the 2 words that you need. That's all you need. Welcome and then cheers, and you'll be fine.
Awesome.
Traffic jams can be a little bit of an issue in the countryside. You're lucky if you see the farmer, but these sheep are just used to doing it every day. So you just take your time and you're fine. But that's part of the experience as well. I mean, we don't put these sheep there. This is their home, and this is what they do. They're en route to another nice field. But it is just something that kind of, it makes you remember all of your trip, these little things that kind of will happen.
Absolutely.
So I do have a little clip here if you want to click play. Yeah. I'm not sure if it'll play for you.
Yeah.
This is our national sport. Some of you might have heard of it before, but it is actually hurling. So it's not the Gaelic football, it's hurling, and it's kind of like hockey, but I suppose field hockey. But they say that people moved to Newfoundland.
Oops, sorry.
That's perfect. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. People say that Irish people moved to Newfoundland, and that's how hockey was invented. So that's okay.
Okay.
You need to check out a game of hurling as well. So it's a big part in our national sport. So that was just a kind of a run through of everything that you can see in Ireland off the beaten track. And now let's look at kind of the different tour styles we offer. So we do offer everything from escorted coach tours. So this you would have, anything from a week to 2 weeks. You've got all your breakfasts included, a number of evening meals, all of your attractions. I mean, really, you don't have much to do other than sit back and relax and be brought to all of these wonderful places. So the good thing that we have done for next year is we've dropped our numbers. We used to only ever take 38, and we've now dropped to 30. So it's a nice small number, and we've also increased the size of the vehicle. So that would be the main thing that we have kind of moved into and adjusted to for COVID.
That's good to know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We think it was very important, but we do have a deluxe coach tour. So our accommodations, as I mentioned, would all be 4-star, booked by our Dublin office. And they're all centrally located. So if we say Dublin, you're at the Gresham Hotel or at the Camden Court, right in the city centre. But we do have a deluxe coach tour. It's called the Manor Royal. And this, we only take 26 guests. And it has more 4.5 and 5-star. You stay in a castle for 2 nights. So we have tried to vary it in the tour styles. Sightseeing tours then. These are more kind of the places you've seen off the beaten track, kind of into the countryside, because you can on a smaller vehicle. That's the thing. 16 passengers maximum, as I mentioned, and there are a couple of options. So we do have our own tours where you'll have a couple of attractions included, a couple of evening meals, but you would need a pre and a post night. So this would be, a smaller portion of a larger trip. But we also use Rabbies and Vagabond as well. So they're kind of out into the countryside, B&B or hotel option, especially for Scotland. And then Vagabond, if anybody is very active and wants to be up very early, hiking, biking, horse riding, all of that, then that's a good tour for you. So I know I'm going to be giving you so much information today, but that's the reason that you have Susan. So it's all fine. I'm just trying to give you a little idea and trying to tell you that Ireland is there and waiting for you, and we will get there soon.
Mm.
So the rail tours that we offer, they're semi-independent. So you would link up with a coach tour at some point. I mean, you can't get to the Cliffs of Moher or the Giant's Causeway without it, but your main mode of transportation between the major cities would be by rail. Then looking at our driving holidays, as I mentioned, I think they're going to be very, very popular for next year. We can get you an automatic car, no problem. If you want to stay in B&Bs, we do have an itinerary based on just B&Bs. It's a wonderful program that they've all been approved by the tourism board. So they're all up to a great standard. It's not just kind of anybody who could be linked into this program. So you're getting a good property. But if you want to stay in, four-star hotels, castles or manors, or even a mix of them all, it's something that we can put together very, very easily based on, your itinerary, your hotspots that you want to see. Let us kind of put it together with Susan for you. So then with the chauffeur drive, if you don't want to drive on the other side of the road, this is a perfect option. They're also wonderful guides. So they will suggest, let's go here, or, you will have an itinerary to follow, but that's why it's great to have them. They're giving you that kind of local knowledge again. And if you want to spend an extra couple of hours at the cliff because it's sunny, you can do that because it's your own trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then city stays and day tours, this would be, day tours are in and out of the major cities, either by rail or by coach. And then city stays might be 3-night package in Dublin, maybe a private transfer from the airport, a hop-on, hop-off bus ticket, and an attraction or two. So these can very easily be customized. And as I say, custom groups, if you want a group of golfers, if you would like, and I think this would be very, very popular, like a bubble travel. So, you all go from your area. So you're in London, most of you. Yes. Well, you're in London, Susan. Yeah. Yes. So if you all went from London, it might be a little bit more comfortable for people to know that you're all coming from the same town. So we can just, put people on a certain departure date and talk through the itinerary and whatever for you. And I think it would be a nice way for people to still have that group. And you do meet loads of people, and there's so many benefits to going on a coach, but at least you're all going from the same place, and it's just that little bit more kind of comfortable.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay, ready to move? Okay. Whoops. There.
It's my slides, I think, because of all my pictures, it's so slow.
Yeah.
So this was the one I mentioned, is the Bucket List Tour of Ireland. So it's a 14-night, 15-day tour. As I said, maximum 30 guests, but the numbers you see there, it's the number of nights that you stay. So we've tried not to put too many one-nighters because we don't want you packing and unpacking constantly. We want you to actually, get up in the morning, have a leisurely breakfast. We'll bring you to all of the places and then be back so that you have time, to rest a small bit before dinner. If you've got your dinner in your hotel, we've tried to strategically do that where you might be kind of a little bit outside, or maybe just one night in Killarney as opposed to all three, and you can wander down the town. So we try to do it in such a way that it's kind of good for you to be able to check out the local food as well. Do the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is just our website that you can check out the various different tour styles that we offer. As I said, everything is the same. Doesn't matter if you're looking here or chatting to Susan. So you may as well book through Susan because it's just a great way for you to sit back and relax. I just fly in my face. To sit back and relax. As I said, book through your Travel Pro. I mean, really, with what's gone on in the world today, I am trying to get my head around just our own tours and how things have changed, let alone trying to know everything. But that's why Susan is the pro at what she does. And it really is important, I think, to have somebody to be in your back corner to help you. And you don't need to filter through anything online. She's it already done. And, we work very well together, and we're more than happy to kind of put together anything custom, as I said, very easily done. So just a little bit then why that you should book with us. So what sets us apart from the other tour operators and other tours that would go to Ireland? So first would definitely have to be our staff. This gentleman, he's been with us, it'll be 20 years next year, Joe O'Connor. He's a wonderful tour guide. He was from Ireland himself. The wealth of knowledge that our guides have, they're so passionate about what they do. It's really not just a job for them. They love getting to know the tourists that come, and frequently will write letters to us to send back to them. I mean, that's not an unusual thing. The bond that they have is great. We always include an Irish or Scottish entertainment evening at the end of the coach tour. A lovely way to sum up the end of your trip with your group, and also it's something that could be done, on a chauffeur or a custom driving holiday as well. The hotels, as I said, are always centrally located when you're in Dublin or Edinburgh, and then we do have lots of wonderful different royal experiences. Next slide there, Susan, please. So we do offer, as I said, lots of itineraries, or lots of attractions, I should say, that are iconic and must see. But then at the same time, we have lots of insider, what we call royal experiences, that are very, very unique just to us, RIT, that we can offer you. This is just a stand sheepdog demo, and it's a really authentic thing. Like people don't know that this is a way that's been around for generations, and they do it similarly in Scotland, but they sound very, very different. I can't understand the farmer in Scotland. I can in Ireland.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I was there, and it was very awesome to see that and see how excited those dogs are to do their job.
Yeah, and it's amazing that, he's got 4 different calls, and each dog knows when he's supposed to do something.
Yes.
And I mean, look at the views behind you, all those hills. If you didn't have dogs, the poor farmer could be up there for days trying to round up the sheep. Like, I grew up in a farm. I've stood in a gap where I have to stop the sheep going, and they don't really care about humans. They care about the dogs.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that has been around for years, and we always like to include lots of these authentic experiences, and as much of them as we can prepaid in advance as well.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we're more than happy to pre-book these attractions, these local tours. As I mentioned, the local guides. We like to include these now on even a driving holiday. So one benefit that's come out of COVID is that everything will need to be pre-booked, which is great because you're not going to meet queues of people. We've lots of food and drink tours here as well. As I mentioned, Kinsale would be the best place to do a food tour. We offer it on a coach tour, but you can put it into any itinerary as well. So it's nice to have these things pre-booked, and then that way there's no surprises when you arrive.
All right. And I'm not going to repeat that, but it says thanks for listening. So you may be able to...
You should try it. It just says Gareth Mahagat as Eishta. That's all. I'm sure you would have gotten it.
Yeah. Well, I thank you very, very much for being with us, Orla Colleen. It was a pleasure to take that tour through Ireland. It's almost like I was there, and I want to be there again. and the fact that I let you speak because of that Irish accent, I love it. But thank you so very much. If we come across any questions, we'll definitely reach out to them and let them know. And if there's a question I don't know, I'll certainly reach out to you. But thanks again for joining us today with Real Talk Travel, and we'll definitely have another one next week. But I just wanted to say thanks again, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Susan. Take care.
All right.
We'll be there soon.